what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like a teriyaki salmon, but not traditional Japanese. Japanese people looking at this will probably go, ah, barbarians. But what I've done is what all Kiwis do, you know, they go off, they find some ideas somewhere else, they bring it back to our country, and then I've stripped it right back to what I think are the essentials. And that's a very good exercise to do every so often, especially with a recipe that you're very familiar with, is to see what you don't need in it. It teaches you a lot. So look, I'm gonna just get the salmon sorted out to start with. So I've got a really lovely side of New Zealand salmon here. I'm just gonna take off the little fin bits here. I don't want those. You can leave the skin on this if you want to. I'm gonna take it off today, turn it over and skin it.
So easy. Yeah.
Okay? You saw how I did it?
Yeah.
You just grab it, make sure you can really get hold of this sucker, and then you just wiggle and pull and keep your knife straight, okay? It's a good little trick, that one, to know. So what I want is, this is for 4, so I want 4 slices, about 150 each, of this lovely New Zealand salmon. This has already been pin boned, there's no bones in here. I think that will do us just fine. Now, this is not a teriyaki marinade, but it basically has those flavors, which is basically sweet and salty, with that umami flavor of the soy sauce. Usually, it's made of Japanese soy sauce. Always get a naturally brewed soy sauce. Jordan, yeah, I noticed you picked one that wasn't actually, you know, a naturally brewed one the other day. And you should, because if you read that label, those ones aren't made of food. And I only eat food, yeah. And I've got some mirin, which you can get at the supermarket, Japanese sweet cooking wine, basically. So that's the sweet, that's the salty, and the umami, all right? And if I was doing this very traditionally, I would be adding sugar, maybe some dashi to it, seaweed, you know, lots of other things. But this is the 2 essential flavors that I've sort of stripped back. And a traditional one is usually cooked. I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna tip this in here and mix it together and then marinate the salmon in it. So it's about 4 tablespoons of soy sauce to 5 tablespoons of mirin. And I'm just gonna dunk these in here. So the salmon's going into that 2-ingredient, very stripped back, untraditional marinade, but it's gonna work. Don't leave it in here forever. It's salty, so of course, if you leave it in there for too long, it's gonna pickle it. And you'll end up with a sort of like some kind of weird Japanese gravlax, which is not what you want at all, okay? And I'm turning it over, and I'm leaving it old skin side up, former skin sides pointing up, okay? That can just go in the fridge for a while I do the other prep. So I want some jasmine rice to go with this, so I'm just gonna very quickly steam some rice. I'm using jasmine rice. Japanese would never use it. They would be using a short grain Japanese rice, obviously, if they were gonna be eating Japanese food, but I'm talking, you know, Sunday night dinner when you want to throw something together that's pretty good. This will work. 1 cup of raw rice. How many cups of cooked rice do you get out of that, you know? 3. Yeah, good thing to remember. Give this a really good wash. See how milky the water is? You're basically getting rid of the milling starch on the outside so that it'll stick a little bit, because you want it to stick a little bit. But you want it to be separate as well. It shouldn't be completely separate, because it's impossible to eat with chopsticks if it is. Yeah. That water's running clear now. Now I can put some water in here. If I put that in there and I touch the rice, it comes up to just up to that, you know.
Is that why I do it too?
Yeah, you all do it. Everybody all over the world does it like that, you know, Asian thing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this onto the heat, okay? I'm gonna bring it to a really good boil. Now, while that's coming to the boil, I'm gonna start on the pickle. So there's 3 things in this dish. Just plain steamed rice, grilled marinated salmon, and this really quick little pickle, which I'm gonna make now. I've got some carrots, which in Japan they would never use, just completely wrong, but it works. They're sweet and they're crunchy, and it works with the Japanese dressing that I'm gonna put on it. So all I'm gonna do is just chop these off like that, get those ready. Then I've got a cucumber, which I wanna get the seeds out of here because they're basically full of water. I don't want anything watery in this. So if you just drag a teaspoon down here like this, you can get rid of the pips, and this is the business side of the cucumber. Have a look at the rice, not boiling yet, that's okay. I'm just gonna slice these very, very thinly. Use this. You do have to use the guard when you get down to them. And don't ever think that you don't, because you
I've
do.
seen some terrible.
Oh, I've hit the end of my finger off before I even knew it. Surgically sharp. The idea is, of course, keep looking at it. Don't take your eyes off if you're not, you know.
Stop talking.
Yeah, exactly. Whoops. So I've got all these lovely crescent-shaped pieces of cucumber, which just go into a bowl. Check the rice. Get in there. And with the carrot, all I'm going to do is sort of cut them obliquely. Yeah, let's just be careful with this.
It's making me nervous.
I know.
I trust you, but it makes me nervous.
There's a strange sort of frisson of, you know, I don't know what excitement doing it like this without the guard. Don't even ever think of doing that. Yeah, okay. Done. So to do a pickle, what I need to do is put all that in there and about a tablespoon of salt. Don't worry about it being quite a lot, it gets washed off. And then turn it all over, about 15, 20 minutes. This will just ever so lightly pickle. It'll start to bring the moisture out of the vegetables. Let's have a look at this. Rice is boiling. So once that rice is boiling, it now goes on the smallest element on the lowest heat. And nobody's wearing a watch. I am. 20 minutes, it's ready. There's 3 things in this dish. Plain steamed rice, grilled marinated salmon, and this really quick little pickle. And so now I'll make the dressing that is actually going to go over these, because these are a pickle that has a very sort of runny, it's just a very watery dressing that goes over it, but it tastes good. And it's made with about ½ teaspoon of salt and about a tablespoon of sugar. I was always told it was good luck to spill sugar. So a tablespoon of caster sugar, about 1/4 cup of rice vinegar. Karina, can you just go and nurse that and stir it until it's dissolved? It's amazing, it dissolves really easily. Sit down, relax, you know, cooking should be fun. Karina's got the dressing under control. So we've got the rice, the pickle, the dressing, the salmon's marinating in there. The other thing about this rice is 20 minutes, you do not lift the lid for any reason at all. This dressing is completely dissolved. What it does need to have in here is just a touch of water, a couple of tablespoons of water. And that just sits there, that's the dressing. So there's our salmon. Turn that back up the other way, like that. And this is now ready to cook. And I'm gonna use a ridged grill. You can do this on the barbecue if you like, you know. You get that lovely smoky flavor, which is good. Haven't got a barbecue in here, so we'll use this. I'm gonna put the salmon on. What I need is some oil. I don't want any sort of flavor in this, so we'll just use canola oil. And I just want to very, very lightly grease the grill. Don't want a lot of oil. I'm saving the marinade out of here, but I am going to just mop these so that I don't put a wet thing into that really hot oil over there. So we'll just sort these out first. So that's what I'm going to save. I'm going to brush that as it cooks. This is the presentation side because that's the higher side. It's the side that hasn't got the skin on it. It's from inside the fish. I want to skewer this because it's going to make it easy to turn over. So all I'm going to do is just put a couple of skewers. This is going to keep this in shape. It's going to sort it all out. So now I can pick that up really nicely and pop it in the pan. So I've got quite a few cookbooks. I really love cookbooks. I really do. I find them really, really interesting because I want to know what other cooks do and what they say. And the easiest way I can find that out in this country where it's a little bit harder to travel and, you know, is to read. And you may never, ever use their recipes and you may never, ever actually ever do it just like them. But it's good to know how other people do things, you know? I don't have any cookbooks of other chefs because they've already got their style. And if you're going to be a food writer or a restaurateur or anything to do with food, you need to sort your own style out so that you're different, so that you're not like everyone else. That's what I love about you guys, this final 3. You've all got your own styles and they're very, very interesting. Now, I think my rice is only a minute away, which is really, really good. I'm going to cook this quite fast and I'm going to leave it basically raw in the middle because that's the way I like it. Actually, Jordan, do you want to leap over here and just do a bit of brushing while this cooks? Because the good thing about this, Jordan, is they have these handy little... Now, if it sticks, it's not ready to be turned, okay? Because what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to build up a dry, crisp crust, which will just pop off the... That's my story anyway. Turn it right down.
Right down?
Yep. And we're going to fish slice, and we'll see if these will move yet. Yep. Ah, no. Damn. Actually, let's just leave that on low for a while.
Yep, it's right on low.
Yeah, and that'll just pop off. Meanwhile, I'm going to finish this pickle. So I've got these lovely little vegetables which have been sitting in quite a lot of salt for a while. A lot of liquid coming off there. See all that? And now I'm going to wash them. Dip this in here. Give it a good stir up. You want to get all that salt off as much as possible. Tip it through a sieve. Do it a few more times. That'll probably do it. Drain it off. Now, what you do is you get small handfuls and you squeeze them really hard. You're not going to hurt them. Okay, they're not going to break up, but they're going to sort of shrink up a little bit. But they're still going to stay crunchy, which I really like. But really squeeze them. You can really squeeze all that moisture out. And I really like the color. Orange and green doesn't, works for me. Right, salmon's looking a little bit devastated, I have to say. Anyway, look,
It'll taste great.
Sticking onto the grill there. Never mind.
I like it when things don't go perfect though, because then you can see how you would, fix it.
Yeah, that side's better. Okay. There's the wrung out vegetables, and all you do is pour the dressing over the top. You make this a couple of hours before you need it. And that's sort of the pickly thing, all right? Now, that rice has had 20 minutes without the cover being lifted up. You've got perfect steamed rice there. All that water's been absorbed, which is what you want. All I'm gonna do is just fluff it up without mashing the rice grains. You can see how sort of airy this rice is. It sticks together. You can eat it with chopsticks, but it's not gluggy, which is what you want. Don't worry about the salmon. It's a little bit crunchy. And then just get yourself some of this with a little bit of the dressing. So a very, very simple salmon dish, sort of rustic, which is very easy to make.